And on top of that, there's like no queer events. Like there's nothing out here. That's so sad.
Hey, I'm Jen, Cowboy Jen. A friend of mine sent me a DM of your video and I wanted to address it because I think I do have some ideas for you. I live in rural Benton County, Iowa, which is about 20 minutes from Cedar Rapids, which is a pretty big city, and about 45 minutes from Iowa City, which is a very gay-friendly community. It's a very queer-friendly community. So first of all, I want to talk about the use of the word queer, and this is kind of going to be a little controversial, maybe a hot take. But in rural Iowa, I myself don't use queer. I don't feel comfortable with it in general. I understand a lot of people do. In the bigger cities, it's really common. In rural Iowa here, I don't use it. I can see it visibly makes people around me uncomfortable. And I know we're like, oh, we don't make people comfortable. But if you want to invite people into a conversation, sometimes you want to make them comfortable. But also, a lot of gay and lesbian people that I know that are my age or older don't feel comfortable going to an event that's labeled queer in rural Iowa. Now, in the cities, in the suburbs, they're fine. But out here, it feels uncomfortable. And they might think if they see a queer event that it's not for them because it's younger crowd, it's for the city, they're not going to necessarily feel comfortable with it unless they've kind of immersed themselves in the city culture. If they live out here in the county and they're a little more isolated, they might not feel comfortable with it, especially if they're not online very much or at all. So that's one thing. So using the word queer can be a bit of a non-starter for some people to join in or want to be involved. So now I'm going to talk about making events. You have to be the one to create the events. And that's just the fact of life in rural counties. No big group that needs to bring in money, whether it be a corporate entity or a nonprofit such as PFLAG or a larger pride group, they are not going to come to your rural county create events. It's just not a moneymaker for them. And they have to make money in order to maintain their, what they do, their mission. So even if their mission is outreach, very few nonprofits can afford to try to kind of create events in rural counties. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of volunteer work. They're probably driving from the city, that kind of thing. So we have to create it ourselves. Now, the good news is it's pretty easy to create an event. First of all, you can create an event and then ask one of those other entities, PFLAG, for instance, or your local pride group in the bigger city or other groups that are around to join in to help you out. And they might be able to do that if they feel like they have kind of a point person in that rural area. Maybe. Your local library has free rooms. I know that I could not go to my librarian and be like, hey, I want to have a queer event, because they might be like, we're not supposed to use that word. But I also can say like, hey, I want to have a lesbian book club. And they'll be like, yeah, we can help you with that. Most librarians are going to, even in conservative areas, most librarians are pretty chill. I'm not saying putting yourself in danger, like feel it out a little bit, see what kind of like books they have. But yeah, it's very possible. And there are places to do that. So if you want to see a group or a gathering, you create it. Now, Facebook is another option. You can go to Facebook, you can go to Meetup. Both of those are great places to advertise and or find people. Here in Little Iowa, Little Benton County, Iowa, nearby we have a Lesbians of Iowa Facebook page. We have a Queer Women of Iowa Facebook page. I'm sure there are others. I think there's a Queer Farmers of Iowa Facebook page. So the Lesbians of Iowa particularly, they have in-person events all the time, and they kind of go around this part of the state. So they do exist. You may have to drive a little bit, but you can make connections like that. So those are some options. So I would encourage you to create your own. We have a pride now because two people got together and said, Benton County needs a pride. We need to have representation here in our hometown, not drive to Cedar Rapids and not drive to Iowa City, not drive to Des Moines. We want to have one here. And about 3 or 4 years ago, they created Benton County Pride. That's amazing. So now this little rural county, which is spread out a bunch of small towns in our county seat, we have a pride every year. That's amazing. And it just took two people getting together and saying, we want to create this and doing it. So you create what you want to see in your community. And even if you have a small gathering and you meet one other person, do that. There's also the local Democrats. Go to your local Democrat, even if you're not a Democrat, even if you kind of consider yourself independent or whatever, go to your Democratic meetings and talk to them. And I guarantee you, when you go in that room and if you said, hey, I want to create a lesbian event, at least one, if not more, person is going to go, oh, I have a niece that's a lesbian that would like to do that. Or, oh, I know somebody that might be interested in that. So you got to put in the work. And I know We have the internet, thankfully, to keep us from being less isolated. And I know being in rural anywhere can be isolating and lonely and hard to reach out, and you have to drive, and it takes more resources just to meet with people. But you can make what you want to see in your area. You can create it. You have the power. Just do that. Create what you want to see.